Hello and welcome back to Prep Bites. We're going to continue on a journey where we are trying to go in and create this chart application of ours. Okay, as we already have went in and created our server, got our database, and as we've already connected them up, I'll say the very first thing we'll go in and take care over here is the process of going in and generating users for our application of ours, right? So this is the main landing page, which is the login page, sorry, the registration page, as you can see. I've added in this option to go in and toggle between the login and the registration page. So this is what you're going to end up at. If you already have a user account and password, you can go in and enter the same here. That would go in and work. And if you have not, then you can just click on this particular button. It goes in and changes the component that is showing up over here, where you can enter your username, email ID, and password and sign up for our application. So what we're going to do is we're going to be writing in some logic for going in and creating users, as well as going in and logging. With this, we are going to be doing authentication and authorization. So there's going to be one major pivotal point in our applications, is one really important feature I would say that our application has. Okay, so what I want to do here is, if we are going to be going in, we've already created in the schemas for this, where each and every other user is going to have three main pieces of information associated with them, which is their name, email, and the password. Okay, so this is the main three information that will be associated with each and every other user. Also, every other user is also going to have their unique ID, available as well. So what we can do is we're going to be going in and creating in some routes. We'll be writing some logic so that we are able to go in and send the data to our backend, which is to our server, and the server is able to then go in and store up the information in our database. We're also going to be going in and doing a bit of encryption as well by using BCrypt, so that our password goes in and gets encrypted when it's being sent onto the database. Okay. All right. So without wasting much time, let's just jump back directly into our code over here, and let's just go in and get started. Okay. So the very first thing we want to do is we'll have to go in and create specific routes for going in and being, or for allowing people to either log in or register. Okay, so these are two routes that we'll be going in and creating. Now, we could just go in and create some routes here and here itself, but in order to go in and keep things a bit more modular and structured, we are gonna go in and use routers. Okay, so so it's fairly simple. Express directly goes in and provides you access to something called as routers, where you can go in and create as many routes as you want, and later on ahead go in and get them imported out over here. Okay, so what I'll do is we'll just go in and create up a folder. So I'll take you through the whole process. So what we can do is we can create up a folder. It's called as routes, because we are going to be dealing with a bunch of routes. Okay, so we'll need some for the messages, we'll need some for the charts, we'll need some for the user as well. So for the time being, I'll say let's just create up this folder, and I'm gonna create a file over here called as userroutes.js. Okay, so for all the operations, all the tasks that are associated with our user, okay, for the time being is just log in and register. We'll be going in and setting up our routes over here, so that like everything will be structured out, and it will be a bit on the modular side for us. Okay, so without going in with much, we're gonna go and specifically, like, we don't need to do much, I'll say. Let's just go in and first and foremost get express over here. So I'm going to say const, let's increase up the space by a bit. Yeah, const express is equal to require express. So you're going to be needing this for the overall operation that we're going to be doing. Now, what we want is we are not going to just set up routes one at a time, but rather we'll be going in and creating up our router now. Okay, how exactly do you go in and create a router? It's fairly simple to do. Okay, so all we want to do is use up this particular function called as router, and that kind of does it. Okay, capital R router. Okay, so what this does is it goes in and creates up our router. Okay, and we can go in and specify our routes over here. So let's just say router, and now what I can do is I can go in and specify some I can go in and specify some routes using this router. Okay, so I'm going to say dot route. So there are different ways in which you can go in and approach this. If you want to just go in and push in data as in such, you can go with route. Or if you want to just specifically write the methods that you are going to be using up, you can specify that in that manner as well. So here, what I want is I'll specify the route. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to specify the route. So I'll say we'll just directly go in with login, right? For now, let's just keep it as login. So it's going to be whatever is my root directory /login. So that particular route is going to go in and get called. Now, what exactly to do here? So for this particular purpose, we are going to go in and create in some controllers. One controller for the login part, another one for the registration part. So yeah, let's say login controller. We'll be creating this. It's just going to be a function. And then I'll say we'll need one more, which is for registration. Okay. So I'm going to say register. And here, let's rename this to register controller. So we still haven't created these two, but we will. Okay. Eventually we will. So now the thing here is, see, what we've done is we created a express router. And within our router, we went in and we created these two routes, which is for login and for register. And if those particular routes are going to get invoked, we have two specific controllers. Okay, they're just functions, nothing much, that are going to go in and get invoked. Okay. Now, okay, so let's just get this router available in our index.js because we do need it. Because how else will we be able to go in and get access to these routes, right? Okay, so the process of going in and doing this is also fairly simple. The first thing we'll do is we'll go in and import our routes. So I'm going to say user routes is equal to so now we'll have to specify this. So I'm going to say require. We need to specify the location. So dot slash routes slash user routes. User routes. Okay, so that should take care of it. Okay, and now if I go in here, yeah, fine. Okay. So this basically does it. So this is the very first thing you have to do whenever if you're using a express router. It's fairly simple. Create a router, get imported if you're already creating it in your index.js or your entry point. It's all in all good. Now, what we want to do right after is to just go in and say that, okay, you are supposed to go in and use the specific routes. Okay, so you already created a router here. It's going to give us all of the routes. So what we want to go in and specify now is, so here itself, we'll say app.use. Okay. And I'm going to say, so we kind of want it to go in this way. We just don't want localhost 5000 or sorry, 8080. In our case, it's 8080, right? Wait a second. We have specified it 8080. Okay. I think I changed it in the previous one. Yeah. Okay. And we're going to say, so we're going to give one more added layer onto the route. So it's going to be localhost, whatever is our root / user / login / or you can go in and change it down later, which is going to be register. So this is going to be for the users. Okay. So the thing here would be we just had to go in and specify our routes here. So I imported it as user routes. Yeah, there you go. So this goes in and gets imported out as well. Okay, so that's it. That's fairly all we had to do to go in and import in our routes. Okay, so default. Okay, I think this is fine. Okay. Now let's go in and create these two controllers. Okay, so what to do when we want to go in and log in and what to do when we want to go in and register. Okay, so these two are going to be basically just functions. So what we're going to do is we'll just create up, because we want to put all of them together, right? So we're going to create up another folder here. There you go. And let's call this as controllers. Okay. And our idea is to, so we're going to go in and specify a bunch of functions. They're basically nothing but our controllers. So all of the operations that we'll be going in and doing with the user, which is login, register, and if there's something else we'll have to do in later, we can add it in. Okay. So here I'm going to say, let's call this as user controller.js. Okay. So first things first, let's get express imported. So I'm going to say express is equal to require express. Oh, sorry. Oopsie. Express. Okay. So this is going to be a very first step where, yeah, because we want to go and create up. So in this case, what we want to do is we'll have to create up two such functions here, okay, which are basically going to be our controllers, I'll say. So what I'm going to do is, first one is going to be the login controller. Okay, so there you go. And the second one is going to be our register controller. So I'm going to say register controller. Okay, so these are the two controllers we're going to need. We have our login controller as well as our register controller. And we are basically just going to be writing in all of our logic within this controllers of ours, right? So what we'll do is let's generically go in and start with our registration option, and then we'll go in with login, I'll say. Okay, so what exactly needs to happen over here is, so here we are going to go in and take up two of these. So okay, so my register controller is going to be taking in the request and response, and this is the important part. So we're going to do whatever data we're going to be passing over or by to this particular route. It's going to be passed as a request body, because we'll do a push, we'll do a post, we are doing post methods. We're using the HTTP post method over here. So all the data is going to be sent in using or via the request body, right? So what I'm going to do is, so all the data will be inside of request dot body. Okay, and we are going to be taking in three of these informations, which is where is my schemas here? So user model, right? So we're going to be taking name, email, and password. So these are three information we are taking. So all of this information will be there inside of my request body. So what we'll do is we'll just destructure it here and here itself. Okay, so name, email, and then let's hope, okay, email and then password. Okay, so password. So what we're doing is we're just destructuring. So because see, all the data that's going to be passed will be passed within this request body, right? So it's going to be an object again. So we'll destructure it. And the thing here is we kind of want a bit of control here because if the data that is being sent, let's say, for example, it doesn't have the email specified or let's say password specified. So we kind of want to take care of that initially itself. So what we'll do is we'll just specify if there is no name, okay, anyone, okay, if you have not specified the name data, like the input element or the data that you're supposed to enter for name, or if you missed out on email, if you haven't specified the email, or if you haven't specified the password, in any of these cases, we need to go in and throw an error. Okay, so what we'll do here is, let's just go in and say throw error. Now, what we want to do is we'll also go in and pass in a message. Let's just say, all necessary input fields have not been filled. Okay, and also we'll also be sending in an error code here. So this is like you have not switched. We'll just go in for 400. Okay, so 400 to 500 is mainly for server based errors. Okay, so we have a crash here, which apparently it seems for crash cannot context. Okay, fine. In terms of user routes, I am going in. Okay, we'll fix it. We'll fix this particular error. So let's just go in and define this. Okay, so this is gonna be our very first operation that we're doing. Now, what we want to do is, so this is gonna be check for all fields. Now, another thing we'll take care of is if you're going in and doing the registration process, right? So this is for the registration process. So if you're doing the registration process, then what if you already went in and created an account for our chart application, right? So let's say it's a pre-existing user. Okay, so for a pre-existing user, we need to go in and say that, okay, you have already went in and uh, what should I say, like created an account for using this particular application. So for this particular purpose, what we'll do is we can just go in and find the information, right? So for that, we are going to require our schema, our user schema over here, because I need to check whether that particular user is already what should I say, present within our database, right? So if it's a pre-existing user, so pre-existing user of email, okay, let's say, okay, for now we'll just keep it in this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and say we'll have to fetch it. Okay, so for that particular purpose, we are going to require our user model. Okay, so let's just go in and get it imported. So I'm going to say user is equal to require. Make sure we are not messing that up. And here I'll have to specify from where exactly. Okay, so we're going to go to one step up, and then within models we have our user model. There you go. And what this will do is it will give us access to this user model so that we can search whether that particular user has already went in and logged into our chat application. Okay, so this is fairly simple. So what we can do is we can just go in and use find one and then specify the email. So it's going to go in and search within our database whether the email that we specified over here exist or not. But the thing is, this is an asynchronous operation, so we'll have to wrap it. Okay, so the idea is kind of the same thing here. What we're going to do is we're going to be going in and performing this asynchronous operation, right? So what we'll do is, okay, so it's going to give me back a value. Okay, so I'll say user exists. Now, one of the things is if you're using await, we'll need to put it inside of an asynchronous function. Okay, so we'll just go and write async, and that kind of takes care of it. So if the user exists, okay, if the user exists, then what we'll do is we'll go in and say we'll go in and throw a new error saying that error, and let's just specify user already exists. Okay, so we'll just specify this. One other scenario that I would personally go and like to take care of is if that particular username has already been taken. Okay, username already taken, because we don't want people using our application and everyone being named the same thing. Sometimes it happens because people usually go with their avatar names. Okay, so I'll just go and make it so we'll make it so that if at all you are trying to go in and register, if a username is already taken, you will not be able to use it. Okay, so the logic is going to be the same exact thing here. Okay, we are going to be checking for username exists. We're going to go in and search for the name. If the username exists, I'll say username already taken. So this kind of will help us to deal those cases where you are not going to be allowed to go in and register. So the first case for which the registration process will not occur is if all the fields have not been filled. Another is for if the user already exists, if you have used the same email ID before so as to go in and register to our application. And this is the third one where we have went in and specified if the username has already taken, then you might not be able to go in and use it. Okay, so these are some operations that are pretty good. Okay, that we have already specified. Okay, now the next thing would be okay, so we've taken up till this part. Now we have only written the exceptional cases. Okay, we just went in and wrote the exceptional cases over here. So if that is the case, now what we want to do is we have to go in and create an entry into our database. Okay, so these are the exceptional cases. Okay, all of these are exceptions. Now comes the main part. So what we're going to do is we are going to go in and create an entry in the database for the user, right? So our idea is going to be fairly simple. What we can do is we already have in the data, right? So I can just go in and say, let's create a new object so that we can insert it into our DB. So I'll call this as, let's just say, let's call it as, second, there we go. And we're going to say user is equal to with all the properties that we have. So we already have name, email, password, right? So we can just go in and get it pushed. So I'll just say name, email, password. Okay. So what this will do is so this is going to be the object. This is the object that we have. And we need to go in and create a user for this, right? So we already have imported our schema here as user, right? So we'll have to be a bit careful here. So user, or I'll say model. Okay, this will make things easier for us because I'm already using this word called as user at that point, right? So just to make sure we don't reuse it, I'm going to say, okay, user model dot create. So in order to create this entry, we're going to say create, and the process is just that, like you don't have to go in and do much. Oh, wait a second. Right, and we're just going to go in and put this inside of parentheses, and that's it. Okay, yeah. But the thing again is the create function is an asynchronous operation. So yeah, wait. Okay, so this goes in and creates an entry. Okay, so what this does is it goes in and creates up an entry for us. So what we want to do is we want to go in and get in the data. Okay, so what we want to do is, so the user exists, right? So if once the data is taken, okay, we can now go in and specify the overall operation, I would say. Okay, so what we also want to do is, see, we kind of want to go in and handle these asynchronous operations over here, right? Okay, so what we'll do is, let us just go in and, okay, I'm gonna go in back over here. Oh, I think the two terminal was the problem. Okay, fine, no issues. So we'll kill all of these. And what we can do is we're going to install this particular package called as np, which is the express async handler. Okay, so express, I think it's all together, async handler. Okay, npm, I forgot the I. Let's write npm I. There you go. I'm gonna wait it for finish. And the idea here is, see, this makes the process of handling async operations way easier. So I'm gonna say const express async handler is equal to require express async handler. Okay, so what this will do is it will go and get our async handler ready. Okay, and the idea here is really simple. We'll just go in and wrap this whole function of ours. Okay, so we have our whole function over here. We're just going to go in and wrap it with this with this express async handler that we have right now. And I'm going to select the whole thing up here. Let's put it inside of parentheses. Oops, let's put it inside of parentheses. Apparently, yeah, okay, I'm going to put it inside of parentheses myself. And there you go. So that should do it. Okay, so this will kind of help us to go in and take care of the async operations that we are doing. Okay, so we still have a few more things to go in and take care of. We're still in the registration process. We still haven't finished it as and such. So we're going to be going in and continuing this off in the next video.